Thank you, everyone, for coming to Woman today. We are live. Thank you so much. My name is Catrice Greer. I am going to be your host today for this program. We have amazing performers on deck today. Red Medusa, Hazel Mehmet, Justina Misdemeanor Taylor, Stacy Dyson is our special guest. And I'm your host, Catrice Greer, and a fellow performer. Today, we're going to tell our stories as artists, as performers, about our experiences with Black mental health, or really women of color and our mental health, and how it impacts us. I am looking forward to do these stories today, to hearing what everyone has to say. We are here with, it is a production of Say It Louder, UK, and it is in joint partnership with Stroud Against Racism. We thank them very much for putting on this program today. This is the third segment of a series in Can't Get Out of My Head about mental health and people of color. So thank you for joining us today. I know we have a lot of VIPs on our Facebook Live. Welcome, thank you, and we will get our program started. Our first performer today is Red Medusa. Red Medusa started writing at age 9. It was a means of expressing herself in a world that she did not understand, or a world that did not understand her. And she fell in love with the way that it allowed her to speak without interruption or room for misunderstanding. And this remains the case today. She's lit up the poetry scene for years since 2011, sharing the stage with many renowned poets. Following her return to poetry scene in 2020, Red Medusa has headlined for a number of events and featured in Vogue, Forbes, and Grazia magazines for her collaborative work with award-winning fashion designer Osman Yousafzadeh. I hope I said that somewhat close. For London Black Fashion Week 2020. Now, Red's poetry is notorious for visceral and unapologetic approach to subjects relating to social injustice, relationships, and African-centered spirituality. In just a few moments, Red Medusa will take the stage. And what she's going to do first is she's going to read a beautiful quote by Audre Lorde that she herself brought to the table for us today. Red Medusa, please take the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Catrice, thank you for your really lovely introduction. So I'm going to read this piece that I found in Audrey's book, The Master's Tools Will Not Dismantle the Master's House. And this piece talks about, in this particular chapter, she talks about poetry not only as a means of expression, but as a means of bringing our experiences into a tangible form that can be felt and can be shared. And the quote that I picked out says, "For women, then, poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. It forms the quality of the light within, which we predicate our hopes and dreams towards survival and change, first made into language, then into more tangible action. Poetry is the way we help give name to the nameless, so that it can be fought." And I wanted to share that because for me, poetry has always allowed me to put words to emotions that don't have names, to make real experiences that communicated via like verbally, I struggle to communicate. So for me, poetry is very freeing in that respect, but it's also allowed me to and us, I imagine, a way of sharing our innermost thoughts and feelings in a way that is universal. And with that said, I'm going to start my set, which I've called Fuck What You Think. And I've called it that because I feel that as women we have been taught to police ourselves, you know. We're taught to kind of be nice about how we say things and not swear and be ladylike and care about how this kind of male-centered world perceives our actions. So I'm blatantly saying, you know, fuck that. The time for that's gone now. I think it's definitely time as women for us to start being very clear and direct about how we feel. And this poem that I'm going to start with is called Snakeskin. And I'm going to open with it because it's about transformation and my own personal transformation. I am reading it. Um, you know, my body has not allowed me to take the time out to learn this work. You know, kind of subject to the moon and her wild cycles. So I'm reading my poetry today. And Snakeskin goes like this. I am shedding my skin, which so far has served to keep me safe, but now locks me in. This form no longer serves a purpose. It limits my movement and clouds my vision, binding me to an old me who thought once that she knew everything and now knows that she knows nothing. If I'm honest, I didn't love her to begin with. She was beautiful, she was funny, clever, kind, and generous, except she never gave any of that to herself. In fact, she didn't even know she was any of these things. Instead, she chose to adorn her shell with symbols and trinkets, outward expressions of who she wanted to be. She sought out others who did the same and showed her what she wanted to see. All the while, she was blind, deaf to the sound of her own voice, ignorant of her needs, sacrificing her soul to save the soul of others so she didn't have to save her own. What dead skin is this that I have been clinging on to? Why do I reject the rainbow that awaits beneath the wounds? I guess I thought I was those wounds and never knew that one day my scar tissue would reveal the light of 1,000 full moons, beaming from those cuts and bruises that I once celebrated as signs of resilience. But one glance at my brilliance has shifted my focus from the stars outside to the galaxy within. I want to begin again. I am willing to embrace the pain of sharp truths, cutting away at this skin, breaking me in like a new tooth. I want to feel it crease and peel back. I want to see it torn away. I want to shed that girl that said she would do anything to make them happy, at the risk of her own demise. I no longer wish to gaze at life through those eyes. Fuck that. Let that skip rip and crack and die, and once it's all done, I will burn it whilst dancing naked around a fire, my new skin shimmering against the flame. I will fall in love again, but this time it will be with me. Because not only do I now know myself to be funny, kind, generous, and clever, I now know that I am the embodiment of heaven. I am peace, I am truth, I am dark, I am light, I am day, I am night, I am wrong, and I am right. I am the song and the sonnet. I am life and I am death. I am the first and the last breath. I am legend and a legacy, and greatness lies ahead. I am not the skin I've shed. I am not the skin I've shed. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is Snakeskin, and I'm sure we can all relate to that shit, right? Like all of us know what it's like to put on this performance. Do you know what I mean? And then suddenly sit back and be like, actually, no, like that's not me. Why am I doing this shit? Why am I still doing this shit? You know? So um, so that's Snakeskin. Um, in light of and in celebration of the charity for which we're working for today, being Sister Space, the only domestic violence charity that focuses on black and brown women's well-being, you know, women going through domestic violence. I'm going to share a poem that I wrote called Still Strange Fruit. And Still Strange Fruit is a nod to a song called Strange Fruit. We all know the one by Nina Simone. It's Nina Simone, right? And this poem talks about strange fruit as if as if we were the strange fruit, as if we were the bodies still swinging off the trees that she sings about. And though slavery, as it was known then, is believed not to exist anymore, I still believe and know that women still occupy spaces of enslavement. So I'm going to read this poem for those women. I've been that woman. One in three of us will be that woman. So I'm going to read this. To you, I am of no worth. I am invisible. My pain only recognized when it profits others to do so. My tears only seen by those who cry too. I am the rock and the hard place. Leaned on, relied upon, built upon. I am a shelter to lost souls. I feed bellies and men clothes. I wipe eyes and dry noses. I mother children and grown-assed men. I give my everything to them. But they do not protect me from themselves. They too are a threat. They too strip me of my colors. I dare not to dream or to have ambition. The world has taught me that there is no room in it for women. We are but stops in a man's journey, just carriers, vessels, slaves to be used and disposed of, left to deal with the fallout when the romance dies. When the baby has left us with unrecognizable bodies, we've gone from being women to being mothers, not allowed to be anything more. Kept in check by other women who insist that we were a person, and we insist that we were a person once. They insist we carry the extra load without complaint. Refrain from talking about how our backs ache from the weight of their expectations. Don't mention anything that might change people's perceptions of the man they love. We protect them, their egos, their jobs, their money, their children, their pride, whilst burying what little is left of ourselves for peace's sake. Because our greatness as women intimidates, and the game men play along to requires us to be submissive. They can only be tall when they are stood on our backs, so we bend over, hair and bodies covered, gaze fixed to the floor, lips that never part to speak. We stay silent and compliant because when we speak, we invite death, and when we act, we are suppressed. Our voices, our dress, our very expression, we mute and police for our own protection. From men who take our bodies like the slave master did, from relationships that resemble ownership, from the new master's whip, domestic abuse, from being disposed of once we're no longer of use. You have stood on our backs for longer than time can remember. We have been your footstool, bearing your children whilst bearing your weight. Yet you ask us to wait when we move to get up. You ask us to wait when we have had enough, demanding that we recognize our pain as the same as yours, insisting that our struggles are the same, then protesting against us when we protest for our freedoms. You have become our enemy. You have become our obstacle. You have become the gatekeeper of our bodies. You decide whether we live or die. Our lives constantly hang in the balance. We never stop being strange fruit. Yeah. That one's always really hard to perform because I wrote that when I was feeling particularly oppressed, particularly heavy, and had decided to stay in a relationship that wasn't good for me, you know. So again, the escape is poetry, right? So I'm going to move on now to another poem, which is the one that was celebrated by Osman Yusuf Sada, and the one that was recently published in The Wild Apothecary, which I would like to celebrate. It's important that we celebrate our achievements. So I'm going to perform this poem in honor of myself, and it's called Here to Stay. Okay. Look at me, get used to my face, my thick and slender frames, my weird and wild ways. Observe the many ways I display my femininity and get used to what you see. Listen to what I have to say, because whether you like it or not, I am here to stay. My bindis, locks, and traditional frocks mean more than just a fashion statement, more than appropriated symbols of identity. They are more than part-time adornments of the privileged. They survived because I did. As you have a history of theft, taking from us, putting us on ships, shackling our hearts and minds, enslaving us for profit, except I am free. It makes me smile to see that in your ignorance, in the wearing of my culture, my heritage, my colors and symbols, my gifts and my curses, you are celebrating me. So copy, reinvent, and try to obliterate who I am. But the truth is, and will always be, that I am here to stay. I have survived your famine and now fill my belly with love. I have survived your wars and replaced them with my peace. I have survived your poverty and I am rich in spirit. I have survived your technologies and transform your weapons from the gun into the sword, into the pen with which I write these words, with which I will change the world. Because I was taught that you were better than me, that God is white, that God is male, that this God was chosen to rule over us. Except I was born of a woman. I grew in the womb, was nurtured by breast, and it was she that took my first breath. See, I am more than Kipling's white man's burden. I am more than the sum of my ancestors' labor. I am my language, I am my struggle, I am the glory of my heritage. Despite the crimes of colonialism, capitalism, and its father, neoliberalism, I am still the perfume of Arabia. I am still the silk of the silk root. I am the comfort of cotton. I am the coal black that lines the eyes of the beautiful. I am the strength in the tin pots that you mock. I am the pride of your Britain because I built this place. And now you protect your statues, your histories, yet these are my histories of how I got here, and here I will remain, occupying spaces that you said I had no right to be in. I will fight despite your insults. I will be that thug and looter you claim I am, and you will insist that I get back to where you once belonged. But I am here to stay. I am here to stay. See my face, remember my name, because I have and always will be here to stay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. Rather, that's my set for the evening. If you will it, then I'm happy to share one more. If not, we can keep it moving because we have 4 more ladies in the waiting to blow you guys away. So let me know. Oh, I can't hear anyone.
That's okay. Here we go.
Yay.
Senior moment. Early senior moment. All right. So, Red, thank you so very much. Really
You're welcome.
appreciated that. We'll see if we have time. Let's see
Yeah,
what we look like at the end of the program. It was beautiful work. Thank you.
thank you.
Up next is a poet. Her name is Hazel. Hazel. And please bear with me because I am still practicing my beautiful friend's name. Hazel Mehmet.
Perfect.
Thank you. Hazel is a spoken word artist who has been writing for over 13 years and performing since October 2019. Having originally started writing trauma-based poetry, Hazel has now branched out across different forms of art, including poetry celebrating sensuality, poetry normalizing mental illness, and poetry as a platform to fight systemic oppression. We hear now from Hazel.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this platform. It's it's absolutely incredible. I already feel like I'm learning so much and cannot wait to hear the truths that everybody else also shares. So my name is Hazel Mehmet, and actually, for a long time, I allowed people to call me Hazel instead of Hazel because I thought, oh, at least they're kind of trying, right? Um, but earlier this year, I really realized and held on to myself, held on to for myself how important my name is to me. So now people, at my request, call me Hazel or Huz, because I call myself Huz when I talk to myself, so I do find that one quite acceptable. I've got 3 pieces today. So one is on my daughter's experiences of racism, which are ongoing. My children are 9 and 6. My daughter has been experiencing racism since she was 4. My second piece is on my experiences of mental health growing up as a woman of colour. And my final piece is a piece I wrote for Stephen Lawrence Day, which essentially addresses the audacity of British society. So I will start with my first piece, content warning. My piece does have one use of a racial slur towards those of Pakistani origin. So just to let everybody know that's there. This is tragedy. Where are the roots in race? A word unwittingly so rooted in hate that a mere act of apparent hate unwillingly, sorry. Where are the roots in race? A word unwittingly so rooted in hate that a mere act of apparent kindness unknowingly seals the fates of those not supremely white to be lesser faces, to be less worthy of a home and all its spaces. Trying to locate the right shade of beige for the title British, hoping this inherent racism is just a phase as my daughter casually accepts that England isn't a place which accepts her as its own. Disowned. Trying to figure out where she's from because Kashmir is a home she's never known. Cyprus just a holiday destination. But despite the Queen's English tipping her tongue, England being her home from the minute I crowned, the hospital she was born in South London found, she is told she is too brown. Too brown. Too brown, she is told she is too brown, and such is the innocence of a child that rather than allow a frown to grace her face, she smiles and is thankful for the friends she has from here who have said that they don't care if she isn't. Underlying racism is always present. Tragedy isn't just found in violent protests on the streets. Tragedy isn't just found when asylum seekers capsize at sea. Tragedy isn't just found when those seeking refuge are locked away in detention centres. And tragedy isn't just found in the mouths of hate preachers outside courts or in town centres. Tragedy isn't just found in council cuts. Tragedy isn't just found in the empty bellies of kids with families who are down on their luck. Tragedy isn't just found in misinformation spread by mass media, and tragedy isn't just found in hate-fueled mass hysteria. Tragedy isn't just found on the sides of buses screaming that we don't belong. Tragedy isn't just found when diluting your culture is seen as wrong. Tragedy isn't just found on the disapproving faces of parents when we bring a black boyfriend home. And tragedy isn't just found in white on coloured racism alone. It breeds. Whatever shade your face is, I can almost guarantee that at some point tragedy and hate has held it. Admit it. When our white friends used to play out past dark, growing resentment at our parents who wouldn't let us play that part. Preaching acceptance and understanding for anyone trans or gay whilst reassuring your mates that your kids could never be that way. Voting Conservative because you don't believe in handouts. Shaking your head at every man sat on a street corner asking for help with his handout. Preaching that it's only fair that one day this free healthcare runs out, but you round up by 25p the amount you pay for your burger at McDonald's in the name of charity. Pushing for a points-based immigration system, like deserving better can be turned into a game. Where is your shame? Don't tell me that just because you've been discriminated against, you aren't discriminating against anything you don't consider virtue. Living in a world where liberty really is just a statue. In a world with nations which still stone individuals for not conforming. Sexuality, race, gender, faith lost in a system in which conformity reigns more powerfully than the monarchy which colonized the world. Do not tell me equality is key when it has been thrown in the face of my little girl. British, born and bred. We are in no way past the years of being shouted "Paki" at or having kebabs thrown at our heads. We're searching for peace in pieces of a confused culture which doesn't understand that love is found where mixed and spread. Purity cannot be found in your blood or in the thoughts in your head. Open your hearts. Make today the start. Be the change, stand up and take part, take ownership for the mistakes you have made and the ability you have to change the future. Do it for her, for our innocent daughter. Thank you. Yeah, that was my first piece. My daughter Sophia has been experiencing racism since she was 4. The world's fucked. And it's all very kind of snide, commenty stuff that kids don't necessarily mean badly, but they've heard it from somewhere, right? She now celebrates her skin as brown and beautiful, which we are here for, and try to build her every day. Now, I try to raise my kids the way that I know I needed to be raised when I was younger, because actually, whilst I'm very proud of my culture and my heritage, mental health was something that was never to be discussed, never to be spoken about. If things were only bad if they looked bad, so don't let them look bad. And that's something that really affected me a lot as I grew up. So trigger warning, this piece is called Memoirs. It speaks on some of the traumas from my childhood. So please, if you're not emotionally available, do step back for 3.5 minutes or so. Okay. Broken adults aren't so easy to fix. I've lived this. Years of therapy and thousands of prescription drugs, and I'm only now learning that hurt should replace numb, then be overruled by love I pour into my own cup. Home isn't just a place, and blood doesn't always mean family. Doing everything within my power to break the cycle I've been chained to, raised with torture as a form of discipline, but I have moved on to attachment parenting. My kid's in my bed, I'm told, is a rod for my own back, but my childhood was spent screaming into a pillow, and for them, I take a rod over that. Beaten thighs and broken smiles. Beaten down for being wild, a broken mind and failing health became a soul which did destroy itself. Raising children should be the case, yet somehow the right thing just isn't innate for too many as of late. Kids dragged up around drugs and guns, and politicians call council slums the problem, but whether or not you should have been allowed to breed does not translate to the postcode you chose to call home. Picture the kid who flew through school and got all the grades, the A stars and the A's. I hid bruises in books and avoided the looks by being a wallflower. I'd wake up each morning panic-stricken. Nightmares about dad's machete slick with blood, but if I let my floodgates open and run, then my tears would run faster than I had ever been able to make myself. Emotions are waves which come and go with an ebb and flow much more consistently than a drug addict parent. All the marks were a tell, but I spoke so well and didn't give the teachers hell, so I slipped through the net. The devastation I found in the hundreds of tablets which could not caress me into my final lullaby was heartbreaking. Cuts which almost needed stitches, I have covered with pretty pictures, and at least people notice these now. Bulimia had me pounds from hospitalization, left to waste away till the day my mum had pounds to pay for a sink I had blocked with vomit I'd nearly choked to death on. It didn't take a plumber long to fix that, but my eating disorder was fixed with a quick slap, and isn't that something to make you sick to your stomach? Being sent to A&E after waiting to throw myself in front of a train. I remember that. Turning to drugs to mask the pain. I remember that. I was vulnerable, trying to fit in after years of trying to blend in, not wanting their touch on my skin, gritting my teeth as he slipped in. I remember that. 26 years of trying to feel clean again. I remember that. I'm not over that. Realization hits like a thunderclap. Backtrack on that. I'm no longer trapped. Home is not a place or a destination or an end. My blood doesn't signal the end. It is a beginning, and each scar I own is proof of that. You see, at some point, love had started hurting. And at that precise moment in time, I felt I deserved it, that I'd been too much and not done enough, and it was time to just tough it up and swallow my pride, despite my pain burning furiously at my insides like a martyr. to an unworthy cause. Jaw clenched at every non-accidental touch and easily identifiable, held for too long pause and seconds of uncomfortability, which felt like years, but still, I held back the tears. Sometimes I want to forget myself, check myself, try to fall in love with myself instead of wreck myself, feel the heat rise as my tears dance their way down the side of my face in a silent race to the finish line, accept and embrace every emotion that is mine, do not apologize. They say you can't untrain a brain condition to feel pain from a young age. Well, watch me shine. My body may have been beaten, soul shaken, but my mind is mine to be taken, and like a phoenix, I will rise. This is my story to tell, and I tell it well. So I will grace the stage with my presence as I learn life's lessons. What a time to finally want to be alive. Thank you. So one of the reasons why that piece is quite important for me, it was the second piece I ever shared, I think, but writing about mental health and then going and speaking about it, I had family sort of texting, calling me like, cuz this never happened. I was like, no, it did. No, this didn't happen. And it was just, we didn't see it, so it didn't happen. But actually it's also, you weren't allowed to show it, so don't show it now. I think within different cultures, you know, especially within my culture, I'm Turkish Cypriot, village mentality, not that that's something to excuse. Appearance is everything, you know. So I do a lot of what I do now, speaking out on mental health, representing my culture and where I'm from, to normalize what should be the case instead of hiding behind appearance. Yeah. So my final piece, I wrote this for Stephen Lawrence Day and have only shared it once before, so bear with me and my scraps of paper. And I actually shared it for Gary's event. And this is called British. Take back your white. I don't want it. Take back your westernized lies I learned to lie through, because if white is right, I'm going left. Dictated direction by the West, take back your white. You could never make it mine. These standards define, designed to alienate my own cultured life and replace it like for like with the British type. See, I'm British, not quite the white shade of right, not quite the right shade of white. Somehow the darker the skin, the less applicable rights. There is no independence upon a system in which free minds pay a price. Stop and search for control. They don't need a weapon to hold when Her Majesty's service is found tied to strings pulled faster than the guns they claim we hold. They shoot their shot through imposed systems. When caught in court, the ball apparently left in their court to make the change, but their equality is not the same. We are not here to live the dreams of the elite, those few percent who kick the dirt from their feet to meet the 48% who make up the working class and the further 15% who come last, categorized to find their position at the breaking point of the poverty line. Do not tell us your unapologetic racism does not exist when you are directly unaffected because of the lack of melanin in your skin. Tell me. Why, when 86.1% of the British population is white, income distribution in kind finds 3 times as many Black households on said poverty line than we would find even in the top 10%? Where officers armed with intent are sent without consent to break the peace within our broken pieces. The truth is, unbleached skin has had to fight for so long that the pigmentation they use as target practice has become our armor. Over half of households not fitting into boxes reserved for the white being hit that much harder. Society always worked to double jeopardize their lives to cover the force. And I do not trust in the false force used by a puppet force, rigid rule in bending the laws whilst broadcasting claims of the non-existence of institutional racism proven to be false. Doesn't time fly now that we're back in the dark ages? From 1998 till now, steps forwards are undone when the real damage doesn't come from knives and guns, but at the hands of the ones trained to serve and protect. It is time to break the slate they thought they had wiped clean. It is time to order a cease and desist, to expose gammon gates, pigs, and hang them by the strings they still pull, because racially motivated crime shouldn't have to result in murder for a case to be seriously tried. Truth determined from the inside and covered with lies. How many more to die? Either at the time or after a lifetime of being inside. What truth was there to find in Saul's mind? Another opportunity to facilitate the facility of black on black crime whilst we await our claim of retrial. Their defense is to attack, forcing people onto the street so even the rush of the wind they find is gentrified. Disproportionate extortion of ethnicity, oppression of our colour, painting over chips and cracks, using history to whip us back to make Britain white again. So take back your white, I don't want it. I said, take back your white. It doesn't want me. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so my name's Hazel Mehmet. Just to summarise, I run a platform called Safe and Sound, the Poetic Shits and Scribbles. We do everything we're able to both pay artists, but also to help the homeless communities around the UK and multiple states in America. So if you do want to find out more, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'm very, very thankful for today and can't wait to hear more. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Thank you very much for being here today with us and sharing your thoughts, sharing your work, but most of all, sharing your personal experiences. It matters when we speak our truths, we impact so many others because we speak with credibility. It's our real experiences. The next person that we are going to hear from, the next performer, is Just Star, Misdemeanor Taylor. Just Star is an outstanding spoken word artist as well as a consummate visual artist. She's helping us today to manage our Facebook Live, so some of you may be on Facebook Live and commenting, and Just Star is the brain behind that today. She is at the helm of that. She is also the host of the IG Live after show that we'll have here today. So please remember to head on over to IG Live on her platform, and we will give you that handle at the end of the program so that you'll be able to just finish this discussion, and we'll continue that discussion about women of color and mental health. I will let Just Star tell you a little bit more about herself and share with you today her perspectives, her truths. Just Star.
Hey guys.
The floor is yours.
Thanks, Katrina. Really glad to be on this platform. I don't know how I'm going to live up to these guys because I'm blown away by the talent I've seen so far. Literally, like mad, crazy talent and things that people need to hear. So obviously, as you can tell, I'm an artist. I do art in it. That's my motto. So I actually don't do as much poetry as you guys. Like, I don't call myself a poet. I'm more just, I do art in it. So I feel really shy now. I feel like I'm a way to share my poetry, but also, obviously, I'm going to, and I'm glad to be here. But yeah, I did a poem actually. Well, I'll share some artwork because it goes with the poem, because I don't know if you know as well, like Can't Get Out of My Head events to do with saying, friends to Say It Louder and Gary and that. I did the artwork for them because, like, obviously the creative vibes that we've all got, mine's mostly in art. So this was the flyer for Can't Get Out of My Head that I did for that event. And then I did this one, which led me to my poem, which I'll share next when all that was going on. So, like, I think it was Red saying, and Hazel, sorry, I'm really bad at names. I don't want to say your name wrong because I hate when people say my name wrong too. But about, oh, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I hate when it happens. But about the way that people treat you differently with mental health and stuff as well. So that's why it's been a lot of stuff going on with the artwork to do with mental health. Anyway, before I lose my train of thought again, because I'm not very well prepared, as I've been, everyone's been hitting up my phone about this event whilst I'm trying to do this, so bear with me. This poem that I wrote that day when I made the painting, the George Floyd painting, I'll share with you now. It's called Me. Why is it necessary to know the color under my skin? No answer could ever really win, especially when you can't see the person within. Beauty isn't only skin deep, but my skin is all you can see. Does a lack of melatonin change my personality? If you was blind, then maybe you would really see. A shade of color is not my identity. We all bleed the same, all cry tears of pain. Anguish doesn't preference color. Heartbreak is not distinguished by race. Are you deciding on how to treat me? Will it be different to what you think you see? Talk down to me or maybe miss me completely? I'm not a racist, but it's how all your sentences begin. At the same time, my heritage is important to me. It shouldn't define the way you treat me. I didn't choose this name, nobody. God just blessed me this way. So I refuse to apologize for just being me. So yeah, that was just a little one, like I said, to do with that painting that day, because obviously my art and my poetry are one to me. What else should I read? And also I was gonna say, yeah, that was my train of thought that I got a bit stuck on earlier, sorry. Because about the culture thing and the mental health thing, in certain cultures, it's literally, you're not allowed to have mental health issues. In my family, it doesn't exist. Like, my mum, you're mental then. You know what I mean? Like, it literally, it's not allowed. So I've got another poem related to that, but also because then my little brother did step up. But stuff like this is just so poignant because we need to open the conversation more, take away the stigma, because it doesn't matter where you're from or what you've been through or what you're expected to go through. We're all human. We all bleed the same, like the thing, and we need to be treated the same in that sense that we got mental health issues too, and it's okay. So I just want to put that out there because I do a lot of stuff with mental health and it's really important. And yeah, I just feel like a light needs shining on that still. Right. This one is called End of Days, related to the mental health stuff. It's hard to understand that feeling, holding them pills in your hand. It's not about dying. Not like I haven't tried to live. Give it my last breath, literally exhaled my last being. Mere humans can only take so much. Misery, poisoning me. Before that day, nothing could break me. Indestructible, invincible, concrete wall. No amount of drugs or alcohol ever made me whole. No one could fool me. I already knew the truth. Through my stolen childhood, tainted youth, always having to just continue. Thought I had my share until you stripped it bare once again, smashed my walls to smithereens. Took the old me, I'm fine, nothing happened, is a song I tried to sing, whilst the marks around my neck said it all. Blessed with a friend who could see the hurt within, tears streaming said more than anything. Pandora's box broke within, months replacing time with a chaotic drug-filled life only made things worse. Blinded by the shattered vase, unable to serve its purpose, cracked and broken, dead roses. I chose the only way out. It's not easy or cowardice, pure misconception. Shattered scene, no human wants to be in. I tried to remain the same, continue and act like everything was okay. Until that day came, I took my life in my hands, except God had other plans. 2 to 3 days, they said. 60 days later, that was my home, safe zone, only place I felt unknown. Thought I'd always be, until immediately ejected to a public property. No words to describe how you can heal. The turmoil multiplied. Public places, invaded spaces. Became a full-on recluse, unable to be seen, hiding away like I was guilty. I don't want your sorrow or pity. I'm strong enough in me. No words could truly describe how much I lost in my life. Losing that time, barely able to breathe, unable to leave, to move between rooms, plastic screens divide, so they can keep me on side, this side of life, stay away from the light. Life dictated to me, medicated to me. Don't take those pills, we have these for you. Self-medication is out of the equation. Yet you prescribe me what I used to try to kill me. But that's okay, you see, because it was my hand that held them pills, my mouth that swallowed them down, hoping to quiet them sounds. Instead, I heard a different noise, one I could never foresee. People do actually care about me. Locked away, unable to breathe, them visits meant the world to me. No words could communicate what your time meant. You can shout the worst words, but no one could take away those moments. Everything changed, I believed previously. Showed me someone could really love me. Little brother, you mean the world to me. I couldn't even be there, yet you showed up regardlessly. Showed me love when I couldn't see above the water I was drowning in. You remembered me continually. Despite everything, your time will always mean the most to me. Who knew you'd be the one to save me? By showing up, you showed love. Meant more than any hug or fake stuff. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I'm really nervous. But I don't know what I'm saying for time because, yeah, I'm really nervous. But
You're doing fine. You can do some more.
okay, sweet. Thanks. So yeah, obviously that's quite a deep piece, and I don't think my little brother's heard it. I don't think he would even listen to it because, you know, some people don't understand. But that's why I love that we can express ourselves in these ways. And for my mental health, my art and the poetry, especially like lately, like even though I say like, oh, I'm not really like a poet because you guys are just so amazing, but I do poetry all the time, but I'm just like not speaking it and doing it as much. So this is good. I've got one that I wrote earlier actually. It's only a little one and it was about today. So literally bear with because I've never read it and I haven't really finished it. I did it in between doing a million more things. Anyway, it's called Living. Living in my skin is not as simple as you may think. Are you adopted? Is when I first learned melatonin. To me, it's never mattered, but your mum's not the same as you. Sorry, is she an alien? Because all I see is human beings. So am I now not the same as you? Extended gazes, changed tones. So are we now not equal? I see no difference in me and you. Yet my background baffles your brain when you can't see past my skin shade. Why are you so light? I've heard it all my life. This is just God's design, made perfectly, regardless of what you see. I'll always be this light-skinned human being. One day you might see the soul beneath. Until then, live in ignorance and naivety. Token gestures by the government so they can act like they care. No wonder the world hasn't caught up yet. One day the blind will see this skin belongs to a queen. Red, black, yellow, pink, or green. I prefer to just be a human being. That's me. Thanks, guys. It's also I want to say because obviously like that poem, as you could tell, I'm very light, and my mum's a different color to me, and I only learned about different shades of color of skin literally when someone said to me, "Well, you're adopted." Well, that's not your mum. What are we talking about? I look the same as my mum, just a different color. But because they couldn't understand that, they were like, everyone at school was like, "Oh, you're adopted." And I was like, "Mum." She was like, "No, no, no." And then that's when I learned, you know, the world looks at you, and then because as well, people do, they'd be like, oh, you mixed race. Oh, what's the all about? Did I touch your hair? No, move from me. So anyway, sorry for my wolfing. That's what I do when I'm nervous. Anyway, guys, we're going to be doing an Insta Live afterwards. So I'll put my handle in the comments if you want to join that as well. Love.
Thank you very much, Justar. I really appreciate all of your words. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing these experiences with us. It is very helpful and it's very moving, ladies. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'd like to bounce back from Insta Live. Well, not Insta Live. There I go. Facebook Live. Our Gary has been bouncing back some of the comments. And so just know that we see you and we hear you, Facebook Live. So I'm going to read some of the comments to you so you know how people have been responding to what you said. Nicola Higgins said, powerful stuff, the truth. Daniel K says, much love. Veronica E. Poet says, this is the truth. And I see says, loving the raw realness of these strong women. So far, really powerful, emotive, and honest. Gemma Hathaway. So we have a lot of really great feedback. Thank you so much, Facebook Live viewers, for bouncing feedback. And before we move on, I do want to just say one thing about why we're doing it the way we are. We have decided to make it so that there are just the performers within this space. Doing that, for me as a producer, I decided that doing that would give some intimacy to what we're doing here. And I personally, as another woman and performer, wanted to give to my fellow members a feeling of safety, a feeling of privacy, and a feeling of intimacy when we are performing. I hope you can feel that at home as our viewers and empathize with where we're coming from with giving so much information about ourselves that to have a very large crew all on the screen makes it a different kind of vibe going on, a different kind of feeling. And we welcome you. And I'm so glad that you allowed us to do it this way. And I'm so glad that you've joined us from Facebook Live. That being said, we are about to go to the interlude. It will be 7 minutes. So get yourself some tea, some coffee, water, put your feet up, rest a moment, and we will be coming back shortly with our special guest, Stacy Dyson, and myself, and I will perform as well. And then afterwards, we'll have discussion and take some questions from Facebook Live. But in the meantime, thank you for coming, and see you in 7 minutes, which will be at top of the hour. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We are going to begin soon. Thank you very much for viewing. As soon as our performers return, it is top of the hour, 8 o'clock. Take your time, don't rush, don't rush. As our performers return, what I'd like to do, until they are all here, is to take a moment to bounce back some of the wonderful, wonderful feedback that we've been getting via Facebook Live. And again, Gary Huskinson has been so kind and very active on Facebook Live to bounce me some of the thoughts that people are sharing. For instance, Julia Davidson said, "Strange fruit that Red Medusa read to us." She says, "Still today, as connotations attached to it, it was outlawed. America did not want to continue to face the abhorrence." Moving forward, we have a few more comments. Rhoda Thomas, our fellow poet, she says, "Thank you for your truthful point, Justar." And Karen Scott, another fellow poet, says, "You are an artist, Justar, of varied talents. Justina, thank you for this wonderful set." Our fellow poetess, who is a powerhouse herself, Patricia Camp, she's watching. Hello, Patricia. Tish, thank you so much for being there. I have another comment from Marlo Brown. He's not able to comment on Facebook Live. The glitches of the technological age, yes. But he would like to say that all of the performances were amazing. They were amazing. So thank you very much for everyone on Facebook Live who is commenting and is able to. And for those who are not able to comment, we absolutely just appreciate the fact that you showed up to support, to listen, to be part of what we are offering today. That means a lot. So thank you very much for casting your wonderful energies our way. We are very grateful that you came out to support us. And shout out to our poet sister, Special K. She did decide that this particular event was not something that she was going to continue with. And, you know, things change. Things really do change, and people have personal reasons for why they change. And as host and co-producer of the show, I also want to shout out to her. She's a powerhouse poet. We value her. And I, in particular, appreciate her perspective and respect her boundaries and her choices, and wish her well on her wonderful, wonderful journey as a poet. We are all in this together, and we're always going to wish each other as sister poets in this group and abroad the best, the very best. So we're about to get started again, and if my sister poets can hear the sound of my voice, come on back, ladies, come on back. Thank you. And of course, I just need to know that you're here. If you wanted to keep your screens off to rest your mind a bit, I understand. Just let me know you're here. We're about to get started again. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. I am up next, and then after me will come Stacy Dyson. Stacy's an amazing performer. Really excited to have her here as a special guest. And right after Stacy, then we will have a short discussion. We'll take a couple questions from Facebook Live, and we'll let you guys know the cue. Gary will pitch us the questions, and he will tell us what they are, and then we'll answer them to the best of our ability. And then the show will close out, and after show will be the IG Live. And we have the information here for you to find it. So let's get started after the interlude, and bear with me. So the next performer is going to be me. And my name is Catrice Greer. I am your guest. I am a Baltimore-based poet. I'm a literary artist is what I would be called here because I write a lot of things. So from poetry to scripts to many different kinds of things, poetry for the page, spoken word. My bio is available on my website, and I really want to share my poetry and not lose any of the precious minutes. So I'd like to sit here with you today, and the first thing I'm going to do is also, I know you can hear me clicking, but I want to say that if my sister poets are tired, because we really are here for a long time, don't worry. If you need to turn your screens off to do things you need to do, to support families, to support yourselves, we made an agreement, ladies, that this was going to be a space that was mommy and woman friendly, and you get to do what you need to do to take care of yourselves. I really do mean that. I have a soothing voice, but it's a person in here, and I really mean what I'm saying. So it's okay if you go off screen. I love you, and let's get started. So my pieces, I need to give a trigger warning for them. The first, and this was really hard task because I'm not crazy about sharing my personal experiences publicly. I usually mask them in something else. So Gary tasked us to tell about our own trauma. Both poems need trigger warnings. The first elements of sexual assault, rape, abuse, molestation. And then the second poem is going to go in the consequences of those kinds of experiences. And it's a poem about dissociation, and we'll get all into that. So let's first start. This poem is called Mute. And if some people need to step away and this is too much, I understand. Mute. Because she is 8, 9, 10, writes in calligraphy, poems, likes maps, and smart. Tested at 9 years old with a high school and college level comprehension. Because she's 12. And he thinks she may be young, but she understands me at 47. He says, "Can you keep a secret, little woman, little girl? I'll name you Bad Girl. She's too smart for her own good. I'll break her, put her in her place, close that know-it-all mouth. My fumbling fingers will find a way to take her smile through her private school uniform gym shorts and past the unyielding elastic of daisy print little girl panties, past her trust. 2 fingers in, almost. She's a woman now. Because she is 17, wore a skirt, twirled in it free, happiness in every pleat. So they tied her to a fence to kick the freedom out of her. Nothing that a lesson by thrusting broom handles couldn't cure. Her wails lit on gas-lighted declarations of They weren't hitting the nothing between her legs there that hard. It was just a tap. Her panties were up. Because she is any age, any face, anywhere. Legs, skirt, pants, lips, standing, sitting, walking, speaking, eating, working. Her DNA, a crime of existence. And they reach out to touch her breasts. Billowy hair, rounded bottom, fondle them, cradle, grope, to see if it's real. It was only a touch. An accident. What's the problem? Why so sensitive? We're all women. Because she studied, excelled, worked hard, still mistaken as the help, assigned as subordinate, called his fan, assistant, buddy, pal, talked over at meetings, her achievements disregarded, begrudgingly accepted, respect voided before it passes over the lips. Her intelligence is luck because her pretty face and vagina make her dumb. She knows her unspoken place. She knows the gravesite, the unmarked grave, where her voice was expected to be buried, alive, throat packed with mounds of dirt and disrespect, because she said good morning in her just woke up alto tones, sang her rhythms and hymns of praise or songs of jazz and joy, and he a spectator, a stranger from afar, an acquaintance, only heard seduction, said her mouth, lips, tongue drew him in, wanted to pack her, throat deep with him, who barely knew her, said she must have wanted him to feel that way. He said, what's the problem? Why so sensitive? I thought you liked it. It was only a compliment. Said her nervous smile and fawning laughter was a green light for her to accept, without argument, without a fight, without raising her voice from deep wells, long since thought to be dry. That she was his dirty underfoot trash to throw away, unseen, put in place, whore crumbled, silent. Because these fine days, she gathers the pieces of herself in the now, her voice echoing in shards like machetes, the spent pieces muffled left under the brush, forgotten spaces in the shade of molding patches. She gathers herself, her pieces in rebellious integration, because now is for the living. Because she knows poison from nectar. Because today is all that matters, more than yesterday's. Because the treasure core of her was never stolen or broken. Because speaking up is more freeing than swallowing her soul and dying bit by bit in the dark. Because saying no, and I am here, clearly, is better than piously mending fences that would have served as silent cages to imprison her selfhood. Because in the now, these things are not all there is. Because in the now, there is love. Because in the now, unrelenting nightmares of fear, depression, and anxiety burns, releases the shard ash of yesterday into the broad-winged third eye, rebirthed, songs of peace and knowing. Because in the now, freedom cannot be caged, silenced, nor unseen. Because in the now, she is integrated, whole, in the untouchable place. Thank you. That particular poem was written April 20th. I had a moment and I needed to work through, so I wrote my own story, or at least a small part of it. My story is a big story. So when people go through these experiences of whatever boundaries crossing there is, and something feels very dangerous, something called dissociation can happen. And that's a lack of continuity between your thoughts, your memories, surroundings, actions, identity. Basically, you feel detached from your environment, the people around you, and your own body. How that works with Black mental health for me is that you can be disbelieved as a Black woman when you say that you're experiencing dissociation or you seek to get help for that. And it's not just a Black woman, women of color are often marginalized, period. So it's all the voices, including women in general. But I'm speaking out of my body today, and I'll let my other sisters speak from theirs. And the thought that needing time for self-care and saying, I'm in a space, I need time for self-care, we're often marginalized, not believed that we need that. So it's presumed that you're being belligerent or attitudinal or willful. And usually Black women are punished or mocked when they say they need things because there's a stereotype that we can take anything. And of course, with dissociation, you're not quite there, you're not quite conscious. You may not even remember what happened. With boundary crosses like rape and molestation and sexual assault and things like that. So this particular poem is going to give an idea. This was written sometime in 2020, last year, and it gives an idea of what dissociation feels like for me. There are many different types of dissociation. It's called escape portals. We are unsafe. A jigsaw of scattered pieces cast down a black well. A portal opens. It sucks me in, soundless. You can't touch me here. The harm you create does not cut me, enter me, burn me, break me. I can't hear you. You can't find me. To you, I'm dead. Gravity moving me, slow, unbodied. I come back piece by piece when it is safe. Slowly through the portal, this channel changes me. I am without need to protect or to speak. Your call brings me back to the place where I left you, doing that thing you do that breaks me there. I gather my pieces and shuttle forward hyperspaced, unassembled, jigsawed in pieces for safekeeping in a vacuum. You can't find me. I gather my parts banked in the secured vault of me, draw them to me when the world is quiet. I enter my own body at will. I'm here now, fuzzy and bleak, the disgust I feel for you. A fog in the room followed by a shadow of shame for a crime I did not commit. I am returned, safe, not the marred shadow of me. I am here, full, bodied again, in myself. Thank you very, very much for listening to my poetry. I really appreciate it. And now I would very much like to introduce my sister poet, Stacy Dyson. Stacy is a Black woman poet based in San Diego. Her newest collection, Lovely and Suffering, documents the first year of the pandemic. And her next collection, Follow Me on This, is an illustration of a decade in San Diego, due to be, well, it was just released. She'll tell you all about it. And she is currently setting up a tour to promote both books, as well as recruiting for a women's writing and performance workshop called Fire Scribe. We welcome to the stage now, Stacy Dyson.
Hello from sunny San Diego. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'm going to do two pieces from my book, Lovely and Suffering. And I think that's all I really need to say about it. First one is actually the title piece, Lovely and Suffering. I want to stop dreaming their names. I want to stop breathing their last words. I want to stop washing my hands for 20 seconds of what's going on and precious Lord, take my hand. I want to stop sitting on conference calls, numb or crying because another fake 911 lynching murder was top news when I turned on my phone. I tell a lot of lies about allergies these days. I want to be able to call Brianna's name without aching and being sick, crying for 2 hours. I need people to stop reminding me that Jesus was a rebel. Jesus was a warrior. Keep my Savior's name out of your mouth if you cannot use it properly. I am exhausted. In the search for just a bit more calm, just a bit more reason, I am not out of patience. I am finished being patient. I am tired of warning you to learn the difference. There is nothing more volatile than a Black woman who has made friends with both her beauty and her pain. And we are lovely and suffering right now. We are lovely and suffering right now. We are lovely and suffering right now. The second piece was actually not supposed to happen. I had a friend who wrote something about what was going on at work, and I wrote her back and said, one of these days I will write you a poem called Karen, Your Mammy Done Left the Building. And about 6 months later I did, thought that was the end of it. Then something else happened at another colleague's workplace, so I wrote it Karen 2, thought I was finished. And then Sharon Osbourne had her meltdown, so I had to write a Karen 3. This is Karen 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being back away slowly from the cookout, nobody needs to get hurt, and 10 being me offering physical violence to elders, as in I will slap your grandma and mine in the middle of Main Street at high noon for this, my irritation level is at about 45 and rising. All this crying and pearl clutching got me in a non-conciliatory frame of mind. Miss me with that noise, please. Why is my pain only validated by your distress? When Black, brown women cry for their babies, why is it necessary for white tears to validate the experience? Is it because we've done it so often that our tears are invisible, don't count anymore? Why is any conversation always at your behest? We've been wanting to talk for centuries now. Why are our lives suddenly worth taking notice because you finally decided to take notice? Well then, it must be important. Check it. One white woman got upset one morning, spilled her coffee, got national headlines, and changed the law. We get upset every morning, every hour of every day, spill all the tea, and get called gossips, abrasive, nasty, and non-pleasing. I was raised up carefully, well-born and well-bred, so the most I can say to that is you may personally kiss it right here, because F that S. Yeah, go on and laugh, but I have ancestors to answer to. Sorry, Grandma. Speaking for sisters everywhere, keep our names out of your mouths, because in case you hadn't got the memo, whatever you start, we are going to finish. Don't waste your tears on trying to impress us with your pain. We live where you only visit. And tourists, quite frankly, are not welcome. Sisters bleed, bond, and back each other up. Y'all want to eat the cake and not clean up the kitchen. Then get upset when your dainty selves catch hands or our ambitious dreams without stopping to drink at the river of your opinions. Some of y'all so weak can't take a Becky between the eyes. Can't get hit with the truth without crying about your stress level. Keep self-importantly screaming, you're the one making it about race. Well, yeah, because it is. It always has been. You want to call me sister? Prove you fight like I do. Yes, that's right. You have to prove it. Don't want to see your pink cat hat or your notorious RBG t-shirt. Show me oppression turned into beauty marks, like children with full bellies and laws that protect everybody. Show me relationships full of truth, not convenience. Show me your soul's tears hit the earth and birth renewable energies like gold or water or real love. You want me to call you sister? Listen to me. Stop using me. Celebrate who I am without making me use your mirror. Back me up, honor, and sing my songs too. Stop trying to be me when it suits or is fashionable. Just be real. Do you? And if that all sounds like too much, well, let's put it this way. If after using my milk to suckle your children, after raising those children so they could sell or slave me and mine, after scrubbing your floors and your clothes so you could go to fundraisers where I got talked about as the problem, after being given the backseat in movements I bled out over, after moving ahead as an exemplar of my sisters only to be judged by the standards by which the world celebrates everything you do or say or decide to be, if after all that, you decide we're ungrateful or impatient or too angry, you know what? You may personally, can unreservedly kiss it right here, cause F that S. Sorry, Grandma.
Thank you, Stacy. Did you have more you wanted to share with us? Or is that the end of your set?
If
I don't want to
we've
stop.
got time, I can certainly share one more.
We would appreciate it, Stacy.
Okay.
And then when Stacy shares one more, let's unmute and sisters on deck and give Stacy applause. I'll give you a cue. Thank you so much, Stacy.
I joyfully scissor the list once a year. On Facebook, I cheerily announce, Great Defriending Eve is tomorrow. I am so excited. The sift and winnow ever so joyously occupies the next day. People who have stopped reaching out, people I don't remember, people who have straight pissed me off. It's a clearing out, like burning old love letters or updating your little black book. A few times a year, I definitively post, I am busily engaged in not giving a lavender scented shit about certain people today. If you think your name is on that list, it probably is. And leave folk to figure it out. But in the last 4 years, I've had to let go of people I used to love, people I heard close to my heart, people I let in my life because I figured out. I didn't want them anywhere near who I was. Not old lovers, that's easy. Old lovers only break your heart. You broke my faith in who you were. It is not the same thing. I disappeared you deliberately and destroyed any avenue back into my existence. The last years and this pandemic made sure I knew who loved me, not the, as it turns out, mistaken image of me. You feel angry and upset and betrayed. I don't care. Because there's one simple question none of you could answer. Where were you? Not a word when the streets exploded. I lived in agony, in terror. Death on every level was running rampant in every city and daring me to come out to play. Not a word when I rose and lay down and lived every single hour in tears and terror. Where were you? My heart was so twisted by Breonna Taylor that I couldn't breathe right. I had days when I woke up worrying that slavery was going to make a comeback. Days I walked stoop low, moving fast as I could because I felt I had a target painted onto my back. You called me friend and sister and saw people who looked like me being murdered and caged and actively told that our only right in this country was to suffer, that we should be damn glad of any attention at all. You saw what this country was doing to the ones who literally built and maintained this country. Where the hell were you? You were complaining about how the women and children you housed weren't grateful enough to you, about not understanding why I got so upset of photo ops you sent me with Melania Trump surrounded by Black and brown children and Black and brown orphans. You were condescendingly telling me how naive I was to believe that a Hispanic mother with 3 small children who had never before been in this country, who had never even seen an elevator, couldn't navigate her way around 2 major airports in strange cities. You said there would be lots of people who spoke Spanish, lots of space for the kids to play, pointing out that there were plenty of benches where they could rest for 16 hours. You were busy asking me about stupid trivia on Kamala Harris and curtains. I played civil, stayed civil, voiced low and reasoning. I ran interference and token patrol at the same time, so you could feel relevant and woke. I will own that bad. I did it for far longer than I should have. And when I got tired of that role, when I snapped, you got your feelings hurt. You were wounded by the fact that I was barely hanging on some days, and it was reflected in my voice and manner of address. I was isolated, breaking, bleeding out any belief I'd had or held in what this country was supposed to be. Haunted by the obscenity of people dying without being able to see loved ones, terrified that the people I loved would die without me being able to say goodbye, afraid I would die. And all you could focus on was how I wasn't the same. I wasn't consistent. I wasn't trying to be nice, be upbeat. What actually happened was I stopped being your available Negro. Right now, I am carrying so much anger that I am literally sick. My stomach in knots, ready to throw up, and that is on you and the ones like you who do not understand that I owe you nothing. I walk through this world so much differently than you do or ever will. I will not be bothered to explain to you, nor should I be. I've tried to explain it too many times before. Then you only listened long enough to respond, not feel or think. Do I miss you? Sure. But you're fading like all the ghosts of my life. The ones who truly hold my heart stand round me strong enough so that I will heal. Stand round me strong enough, I will heal quite well and very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you so much. You are amazing. Really, really. Ladies, please, if you are here and still in the space, let's show our sister some love and unmute, and please give her a round of applause. And give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give all of us rounds of applause, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Powerful performances. Powerful. So I'm gonna put us all in gallery view because right now is the time where we're gonna take some feedback and a few questions from Facebook Live and interact a bit. So what I want to do first is bounce to you some of the things that were said in Facebook Live so you can hear some of the feedback. And thank you everyone who is giving us this amazing, amazing feedback. So grateful for it. So Gary has sent some things to me from what you guys have said. We have a comment. Awesome event, Gary. The women on here are fire. To the soul for real. And In addition, let me walk it down. Uh, we have another comment. Stacey is laying down real tracks of understanding. Another freedom train seldom talked about with such raw, needed realness as Stacey does. That one is from fellow poet uh, Henry L. Jones, and he's a poet laureate. So thank you, Henry. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Just Star also sent some wonderful screen captures from the from from the pages as well. Rhoda Thomas says tremendous political passion. Karen Scott says, Hazel, thank you for insisting people call you by your right name. Words and names are very powerful. Thank you for insisting people do not minimize your power. You get to define what's right for you, right? Wow. Hazel, you got a lot of wonderful compliments. Karen Scott again, thank you for your powerful pieces. Patricia Cam, powerful emotional reading. Yes, you are a poet, sister. Thanks, Tish. And Just Star. Rhoda Thomas says, I really value the advocacy you do for mental health. That is beautiful and very kind and very loving. I got a few compliments myself. Thank you so much, everybody, for saying them. I want to give a shout out because, as some people may or may not know, this event does support Sister Space Against Domestic Abuse. So their information will most likely be on our event page. Please do click their link and go to their website, find out what you can do to support. Mental health is very important in these cases in domestic abuse. And just so that it doesn't sound like it's coming out of clear space, I myself am a domestic violence survivor, among other things. I lived in a homeless shelter for 2.5 years for women. It significantly impacts people's mental health. Women need wraparound support when they go through something like that, as does anyone, any gender. But today we're talking specifically about women of color. So yes, please go to the website of Sister Space Against Domestic Abuse. You'll find their link on our event page. Find out more about them. This event today supports their efforts to save lives and to save families. In addition to that, I'd also like to mention that Say It Louder does also work with Black Minds Matter. And if anyone who is on our screen or anyone who is watching requires help and support, especially in the UK, the names and addresses of Black Minds Matter, of counselors and resources that can help, will be on the Say It Louder page this evening. What I'd like to do is, before we close out, because we have about a little less than 10 minutes, I'd like to get one of our questions and start the ball rolling. So if you have a question and you're on Facebook Live, please write it in the comment section and it will be bounced to us. The first question that I'd like to take, we already have. It's by Patricia Camp, one of the fellow poets. And she asks, how does poetry help each poet with the expression of the impact of racism? Would anyone like to think a moment and take that question?
I think it's just like with anything else, you use it to express yourself. Poetry is an expression, and if you want to express that you love washing the dishes, then you can write a poem about that. And obviously, this is not a comparison to this important topic we're talking about, but I think it doesn't matter. I think it's a good platform to push things because people hear it differently as well. Rather than like shouting at people, shoving it down their throat, telling people this, that, if they hear it in a poem, sometimes they might get it on a deeper level. So I think it's quite important.
Thank you, Justina. Stacy or Red, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share? Do we have any more questions from the Facebook Live community? Oh, we do. We do. Here's a question. What is the difference between white women suffering from mental health and black women suffering from mental health? I'd like to take that question. I know my sisters may also want to weigh in. I'll go first. And I'll be brief because we've got some brilliant sisters on this panel, and they'll have a lot to say that is salient. So what I'll say is it's the experiences and how you experience the world. We're all women. Yes, we are. If that is how you identify your own gender, that you are a woman. However, how we show up in the world, how we experience the world, and how the world interacts with us is immensely different simply because systemic racism is in place. So we are impacted and approached and oppressed in ways that other women may not experience that. Yes. So if you hear instances of young girls, sometimes there can be, I'll leave it alone. I'll say that much, and I'm going to let my sisters take it the next leg. Jump in, ladies.
Basically, it has to do with the differences in expectation and presentation. If you are an Anglo woman, then what you think, feel, do, present yourself as, et cetera, is seen as the default, as the automatic go-to. And so when you try as a woman of color or a Black woman to break away from those expectations, then you get tagged with labels like, aggressive, angry, can't conform, all the normal nonsense that we hear. There also seems to be an expectation that no matter what, Black women will take care of it. That's been our rep for centuries. It's not going away. And yes, there is most certainly more than a modicum of truth to it, but the problem is that it doesn't matter if we are feeling tired, fatigued, vulnerable, breaking down. If you're an Anglo woman, somebody will take, or people will take, I need my space, I need my time, and not even think about it. If you're a Black woman or a woman of color, what you hear is, oh, come on, sister, you got a little bit more in you, sister, you can keep going, which makes it almost impossible to heal in any reasonable or desirable length of time, space of time.
I agree with that. I
Thank you.
think
Go,
that,
Justar.
sorry, I agree with that because it's a culture thing, like, because that's what I said a little bit earlier on, like when I got a bit baffled in what I was trying to say, but like the culture thing in like my family, like they're from Guyana, like, and you're just not allowed to be weak. You're not allowed to, it's like almost just an expectation that's put on you, like what you said, literally the first two things that you said was spot on, because, and that's what people don't understand. So then when they say, well, what's the difference? Yeah, there's no difference in how you feel and how we feel, but we are not allowed to feel it, or certain cultures are not allowed to feel it. They're like put on expected different way to handle it. So that's the difference to really, that's all I say, because you said it all.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have any thoughts on that subject? We also have a question or a statement from our poet sister, Special K, who was going to be part of our panel, and then things changed. What I'd like to do is ask if we can address the topic that she just sent in. The topic that she sent in, that she said she would like to hear addressed, would be issues related to how hard it is going up the employment ladder, being Black women or women of color, and how that impacts our mental health. Would anyone like to weigh in?
Catrice,
Yes.
I really wanted to speak on the last topic, but my children were like here.
Mom,
but
Oh,
about
go ahead.
I just
Mommy.
yes.
I want Cocoa Pop.
All right, baby. Give me a minute. I'll get you Cocoa Pops.
Hi, sweetheart. Hello.
What I wanted to say was that in the UK, Black women are more likely to suffer with anxiety and depression than any other ethnicity. And that is mainly due to lack of access to healthcare services and the stigma that we have in our own communities around mental health, as well as the intersecting of racism and sexism and the policies in place for those reasons. And I have to go now, but I just wanted to say that.
Have a good night, and thanks for coming with us, Red. Appreciate it. We have one more minute before we close out. I think maybe Justar, could we take that question that Special K had over to the IG when IG opens up? Yes.
Perfect.
So perfect. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Really appreciate it. I am going to pop a slide on screen because it has information that you just may want to have. And basically, just want you to know that we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone coming. We appreciate everyone on Facebook Live who weighed in, who sent in questions, who sent in commentary. We thank you very much for showing up for us and for taking this topic very, very seriously, as we do. Please ignore the clicking. I'm putting my slide up, everyone, so thank you. And I'd like you to have this information. So as you can see on the screen, Say It Louder. This was a production of Say It Louder in partnership with Stroud Against Racism. Many thanks to Say It Louder and the Woman to Woman program executive producer Gary Huskinson, as well as Stroud Against Racism, which is Polly, well, her name is Polly Duda on Facebook, but it's Polly Dutton, and the team, Nabila Akhtar, and so many other names that go unmentioned. Thank you for the team helping us to do this today. Thank you for Woman to Woman Facebook Live doing tech, Justar Misdemeanor, and she's also our IG host. So please, at 9 o'clock UK time, please feel free to log in. That's in about 15 minutes. Log in on Instagram and look for this IG handle here at Justar_misdemeanor_artist on IG Live. And she'll be there. We've changed it from a few minutes, but she'll be there at 9 p.m. UK time. So look for her then. Please click follow so that the notification can pop up when she goes live. We are so grateful for you to be here today with us, everyone. Thank you for coming along this journey and listening to our stories. Thank you very much for every single artist that was here today. Stacy Artist, Justina, Misdemeanor, Red Medusa, Hazel Mehmet. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you and good night. And remember, this is to support Sister Space. So please remember, everyone watching, go to the event page and look for the Sister Space link and find out more about the charity to support domestic violence, women who are victims of domestic violence. Thank you for your time tonight and have a good night.